For over a year now, I've been getting spammed emails on behalf of this company that calls itself Freecash, offering to sponsor me if I promote their website and app. Now, when it comes to sponsorships, I always want to make sure that the company I'm promoting has products that I genuinely use and believe in. So one look at even the company name is all I needed to know that I wasn't interested. It's literally called Freecash. They might as well name themselves Infinite Fortnite V-Bucks Glitch 2026 Working. Surely anyone with half a brain could instantly tell that a company with this name was up to no good, right?
Do not redeem that! Do not redeem that!
Fast forward a few months, and Freecash is still non-stop emailing me. Not only have the agencies they go through been following up emails just a few days without a new response, they had continued to try baiting me by saying things like, "Your competitors are sponsored by Freecash too." This insane dedication of trying to reel me in started to form an itch at the back of my brain. Just what exactly is this company? And how do they have the audacity to email me through agencies this many times? After a while, I decided to play along. And shortly after, I was being asked to lie to my audience about how much money people were supposedly making from Freecash. That's when I realized the public information around the company was only the tip of the iceberg, and the sponsor is far more predatory than the name alone would suggest. Obviously, there were hundreds of complaints from people that they had not been paid out what they were owed. Not surprising there. But what shocked me the most was how powerful of an entity it was, as well as the size of the creators that have been promoting it. Creators like Tyler Oliveira, Darman, Atozy, WestJet, and the list could go on. The craziest part is that even after being removed from the App Store, it looks like they're secretly making a comeback. Hi, I'm the Internet Anarchist. I create weekly YouTube documentaries, and today we are uncovering the truth behind Freecash, one of YouTube's largest scams that no one seems to be talking about. Now, I've turned down enough Freecash money to make my accountant physically ill. If you're not already subscribed, now would be a pretty good time. So, what actually is Freecash? The easiest way to explain is with a story. Tell me in the comments if this sounds familiar. It's the early 2010s and you're playing Clash of Clans. Everything's going great, but you've hit that point where every upgrade takes hours to finish. There's nothing left to do except wait. Then you notice an extra builder hut costs gems. The problem is you don't have enough gems, and you definitely don't have a credit card or any money to buy more. In your mind, this is a complete emergency. So what do? You Google how to make free money. Suddenly, you're flooded with websites and apps promising they'll pay you to download games, complete offers, or install random apps. They all advertise things like earn hundreds of dollars or make money in your spare time. Maybe you spend a couple hours trying them. Then you realize it's boring, you make almost nothing, and you give up. You go outside, jump on the trampoline, or find something better to do. At its core, that's basically what Freecash is. Imagine taking all of those old make money online apps, combining them all into one giant platform, and turning it into a full-fledged business. It's almost like what Reddit did to the thousands of small internet forums. Except instead of discussion boards, it's every online money-making scheme rolled into one place. This business model even has its own name, GPT. No, not ChatGPT. In this case, GPT stands for Get Paid To. These sites pay people to complete tasks like taking surveys, downloading apps, signing up for offers, watching videos, or testing products. In return, users earn points or cash that can be redeemed for gift cards or real money. The catch is that the payouts are usually tiny, and because this industry has a long history of scams, even descriptions of the business model usually warn people to stick with reputable sites if they want any chance of actually getting paid. Once you start looking into Freecash itself, things get a little more interesting. Freecash is owned by a company called Almedia, a German startup founded by Moritz Hollander when he was just 17 years old. The platform wasn't always called Freecash either. Before the rebrand in 2021, it was known as Free Skins. As the name suggests, instead of earning cash, users earned CS skins through the same kind of GPT offers. In 2023, the company reorganized under the Almedia name. Looking at their LinkedIn, it appears to be an actual company with real employees, offices, and a growing corporate structure. But some of the numbers they've claimed over the years raise a few questions. According to the company, they've generated over $100 million million in revenue and paid out more than $300 million to users in their lifetime. Independent estimates, though, paint a very different picture. Depending on the source, estimates of their annual revenue are significantly lower than what the company suggests. There's also another interesting detail. Older review sites claim the same people behind Freecash also operated Gain.gg, another GPT website that's still online today, although it's not clear whether it's still owned by Almedia. So somehow, this company claims it bootstrapped itself from a small CS skin rewards website into a business worth hundreds of millions of dollars. The obvious question is, how? If you ask Freecash, the answer is pretty straightforward. They describe themselves as a platform that connects advertisers with users who are willing to complete offers. In other words, companies pay Freecash to get people to install apps, play games, sign up for services, or make purchases. That's all technically true, but it leaves out the most important part. Freecash isn't paying users out of its own pocket, it's acting as the middleman. Here's how it works. An advertiser, usually a mobile game publisher, survey company, online casino, or crypto exchange, pays Freecash every time someone completes a specific action. That could be downloading a game, reaching a certain level, subscribing to a service, or making an in-app purchase. Once Freecash receives that payment, it keeps a percentage for itself and passes the rest onto the user in the form of coins, where 1,000 coins equals to $1. Those coins can then be redeemed for PayPal, cryptocurrency, gift cards, or other rewards. The more offers people complete, the more money flows through the platform. Every successful offer earns both the advertiser and Freecash exactly what they wanted. The advertiser gets a new customer, and Freecash gets its commission. That's the part most people miss. Freecash isn't really selling free cash, it's selling users. The product isn't the rewards people receive. The product is access to millions of people who are willing to download apps, answer surveys, and spend money because they're being promised a payout. The cash is simply the incentive that keeps the entire system running. Now that we've looked at Freecash's background and how the company says it operates, it's time to look at what everyone else says actually happens. The biggest complaint you'll find, no matter where you look, is that people don't receive the money they were promised. Normally, you could dismiss that as the internet being the internet. Every company has angry customers. But what makes this different is how consistent the complaints are. The same story has been told by thousands of unrelated users across multiple countries on Reddit, the Better Business Bureau, Trustpilot, and countless other forums. These reports stretch back over 5 years, and despite coming from people who have never interacted with each other, they all follow almost the exact same pattern. First, everything works perfectly. New users complete a few small offers, request a payout, and often receive their money without any issues. That builds confidence and makes the platform seem legitimate. Once users begin completing larger offers and accumulate a more meaningful balance, something suddenly changes. Their withdrawal is paused, their account is flagged for a security review, and before long, they're permanently banned. The explanation is almost always the same. Users are told they violated the terms of service, used a technical exploit, or engaged in suspicious activity. When they ask what they supposedly did wrong, they're almost never given any evidence. Instead, they receive the same generic response, explaining that the security team reviewed the account, found violations in their internal systems, and that the decision is final. What's interesting is that Freecash openly acknowledges part of this process on its own support pages, stating that when suspicious activity is detected, cashouts are paused while the account is reviewed. The controversy isn't that reviews happen, it's that many users claim those reviews end with permanent bans while providing no explanation beyond a template response. The Better Business Bureau paints a similar picture. Over the past several years, hundreds of complaints have been filed against the company, with many of them describing nearly identical experiences. A common theme is that users are able to cash out small amounts without any trouble, only to lose access to their accounts after earning a larger balance. One complaint from 2026 describes a user who had accumulated more than $200 before suddenly being accused of manipulating manipulating the platform through telemetry anomalies. According to the complaint, the account was banned shortly after the user completed a higher-paying game offer. The user argued they didn't even own a computer capable of running the software they were accused of using. Whether that individual account is actually legitimate is impossible to verify from the outside, but the wording of the company's response looked nearly identical to countless others. The same discussion plays out constantly on Reddit. The official Freecash subreddit has dedicated threads specifically for banned accounts and paused cash-outs, because the volume of posts became large enough to organize into a single place. Another source of frustration comes from the offers themselves. Many of them require users to spend real money before qualifying for a reward. People have reported depositing money into online casinos, purchasing in-game bundles, or subscribing to services because the offer promised a larger payout than the amount they spent. Then, after completing every requirement, the reward was either never tracked or was rejected entirely. Whether those failures were caused by the advertiser, tracking errors, or Freecash itself often isn't clear to the user. The end result is the same. They spent real money expecting to be reimbursed, and instead, they received nothing. Notice how I used sources like the Better Business Bureau and Reddit to understand what people are actually saying, instead of relying on the usual review sites you find when you search Freecash. One of the most common ones is Trustpilot, which you've probably come across before. The reason I did that is because I am almost certain those reviews do not reflect the full picture. When you look at Trustpilot, the ratings are sitting at a nearly perfect 5 stars, which immediately feels unusual for a platform in this space. Trustpilot in general is known for being relatively easy to game, especially in industries where companies have a strong incentive to manage their public image. More importantly, when you compare those ratings to what you see across other platforms, the story changes completely. On Reddit, on the Better Business Bureau, and on independent forums, the feedback is overwhelmingly negative, or at least heavily mixed, with far more people reporting issues than smooth experiences. That contrast is what makes the Trustpilot situation hard to ignore. It creates a kind of noise in the data, where the positive reviews exist, but they are surrounded by a much larger volume of complaints elsewhere. And once that happens, it becomes difficult to treat any of the highly positive reviews as fully reliable on their own. The end result is that it becomes almost impossible to tell which experiences are genuinely representative. Any real positive feedback gets lost in the suspicion that the review system itself may have been manipulated, especially in an industry where users are already skeptical to begin with. Despite this, it's still obviously impossible to verify, even if thousands of people are pretty much saying the exact same thing. And another YouTuber already figured this out and decided to go into the app himself to try seeing if he could earn any money. Around a month ago, YouTuber The Asher Show released the only other video I know about Freecash, in which he describes his experience of trying to use the app for a month. Almost immediately, the app started asking surprisingly personal questions about his habits, purchases, and other information before finally pushing him towards its offers.
And the questionnaire was asking me if I've done things like in-app purchases in mobile games recently, and is asking my name. I'm surprised they didn't ask my mother's maiden name and my blood type. And there's a reason that it was asking all these questions.
Right after signing up, the app rewarded him with a collection of bonuses just for creating the account. His balance climbed quickly without much effort, making it feel like he was already on his way to earning real money. The first game Freecash recommended was a simple mobile game where he spent a few minutes tapping through levels and collecting rewards. After completing the first milestone, he earned only a few cents. But because of the sign-up bonuses and streak rewards, his account balance looked much larger than the amount he had actually earned by playing. It was enough to convince him to keep going. That confidence disappeared as soon as he tried to cash out. He discovered there was a minimum withdrawal requirement that he hadn't yet reached.
And that minimum is $25. The amount is different depending on where you are. I think it's $16 in the UK, it's $25 in the US.
The app made it feel like he was close enough that continuing to play would eventually get him there. After finishing the first game, Freecash unlocked even more offers. Many of them advertised enormous payouts, sometimes claiming players could earn hundreds or even thousands of dollars. Looking closer, Asher realized those rewards were divided into dozens of separate milestones, each step required more time than the last, and the biggest payouts were hidden behind extremely difficult objectives. Then the requirements changed. One offer promised a large PayPal bonus, but only after reaching milestones that became increasingly unrealistic. After spending hours playing, he realized he wasn't even close. Another challenge claimed he could earn over $20 for reaching a certain scene in the game, then an even larger reward for making it several chapters farther. At first, those goals sounded achievable. After nearly a week of playing, he finally understood they weren't. 6 straight days of progress had only brought him to Scene 4, while the reward required him to reach Scene 9. Even after more than 100 levels, he wasn't even halfway there.
I've been playing this game for 6 days. I'm on level 103, and I'm only on Scene 4. It's taken 6 days for me to get to Scene 4, and it wants me to get to Scene 9 just to make $86? It's not happening.
The app kept presenting these rewards as if they were just around the corner, but every big milestone revealed another much larger one waiting behind it. By the end of 7 days, after spending hours every day completing challenges and playing games, Asher had earned just over $12. After another day, his balance finally reached a little over $15, but it wasn't enough to cash out. The closer he got, the slower the rewards became. Looking back on the experiment, Asher realized most of his balance had come from the promotional bonuses he received at the very beginning, not from actually playing the games. By the end of the test, he concluded that the experience never matched the way the app was advertised. The large rewards were technically possible, but only if someone could complete an exhausting series of increasingly unrealistic milestones. After more than a week of testing, he still couldn't withdraw a single dollar. Advertising is a massive reason why Freecash has the reputation it does today. In fact, the marketing became so deceptive that TikTok eventually removed its ads from the platform for violating its policies. The biggest selling point wasn't the app itself. It was the promise that anyone could get paid simply by scrolling through TikTok. Ads claimed users could earn money just by watching videos, making it sound like one of the easiest side hustles imaginable. Some even suggested people were being hired to scroll social media and could make $35 an hour just by watching TikTok. Obviously, the reality was completely different. The entire marketing campaign was built around an experience the app simply didn't offer. As those ads spread across TikTok, Freecash exploded in popularity and climbed to the top of the App Store charts. But once TikTok reviewed the advertisements, it determined they were misleading because they falsely represented how users actually earned money. The platform removed the ads for violating its policies on deceptive financial claims. Freecash later claimed the advertisements had been created by affiliate marketers rather than the company itself. But regardless of who made them, the campaign had already done its job. Millions of people downloaded the app expecting to get paid for scrolling TikTok, only to discover that wasn't what Freecash actually offered. In January of 2026, a Wired article would get written about this topic, as well as a Malwarebytes article. For those of you that don't know, Malwarebytes is a cybersecurity software made to block viruses, but more importantly, they have a vested interest in talking about consumer rights to privacy. In the article, they say that, "Our concern beyond the bait and switch is the privacy issue. Freecash's privacy policy allows the automatic collection of highly sensitive information, including data about race, religion, sex life, sexual orientation, health, and biometrics. Each additional mobile game you install to chase rewards adds its own privacy policy, tracking, and telemetry. Together, they greatly increase how much behavioral data these companies can harvest about a user." Experts warn that data brokers already trade lists of people likely to be more susceptible to scams or compulsive online behavior, profiles that apps like this can help refine. We've previously reported on data brokers that used games and apps to build massive databases, only to later suffer breaches exposing all that data. A few months later, a TechCrunch article would cite these two articles as well as provide their own bombshell. Not only was Freecash's metrics most likely botted and fake, no surprise they were literally in between ChatGPT and Claude with most used apps, but it seemed as if they had created created or bought another company as a burner in order to evade a ban. Reading, third-party data from market intelligence provider AppFigures shows that Almedia GmbH, the German company behind the Freecash app, first submitted Freecash to the App Store on March 24, 2024, but it was removed after around 2 months on June 13, 2024. This version of the app was downloaded an estimated 69.5k times before removal. Months later, a second app that already existed on the store, developed by the Cyprus-based company 256 Rewards Ltd, was rebranded as Freecash, and an update was submitted under that app's ID. According to the third-party data, it's unclear if Almedia acquired the Cyprus-based developer, which was originally called Rewards, or if it simply acquired the developer account. Rewards no longer appears to have a functioning website or social media presence, and the team behind the company has since moved on to a new company, Pushed. Almedia's re-entry into the App Store through another developer account may have been a way of circumventing a ban on the initial Freecash app. Using another developer to re-enter the App Store after a ban is a common, though rule-breaking tactic. Almedia's spokesperson declined to comment about its earlier app takedown. After reaching out to Apple for comment, Freecash was promptly taken down from the App Store, as well as the Google Play Store a little while after. Despite getting banned from advertising on TikTok, Freecash is still free to advertise on just about every other platform, especially YouTube. And the number of creators who have accepted sponsorships from them is honestly pretty shocking. Like I mentioned earlier, creators like Tyler Oliveira, Darman, Atozy, Legal Mindset, CinemaSins, and plenty of others have all promoted Freecash. Some of these channels have millions of subscribers and several videos promoting it. Again, I'm not saying these creators were secretly working with Freecash or knew the company was shady, but come on, the company is literally called Freecash. A 5-minute Google search brings up pages of controversy, complaints, and accusations that it's a scam. Even a quick look into how the platform works should raise a few red flags. If you look through the comment sections on these sponsored videos, if they aren't deleted, you'll almost always find people warning that it's a scam. In some cases, the creators even replied defending the company. Again, I'm not trying to call anyone out or claim they knowingly promoted something malicious. But I do think it's worth pointing out just how questionable it is to take a sponsorship from a company with a reputation like this. That being said, there's one more piece to how Freecash gets creators on board. All of that outreach I mentioned before came from agencies working on their behalf, not Freecash directly. And some of these agencies use a referral model, where one creator refers another creator to promote it, and then takes a percentage of everything that the second creator earns from it. I haven't fully pulled this thread yet, so I can't tell you exactly how deep it runs. But once you have people earning a cut of whoever they bring in, the whole thing starts to take the shape of a pyramid, while also giving creators who are told by other creators to promote it a false sense of security, as it leverages the existing trust and relationship. And to be fair, on the surface, the deal looked quite appetizing. As I'll get into later, Freecash is paying big time. And in some cases, when I pushed back against promoting it, they pointed to my competitors and to videos with hundreds of thousands of views already promoting Freecash, trying to make it feel like this is just something everyone's doing, so it's probably fine. Now, I don't think these creators are malicious. I think a lot of them were careless, and everyone is careless at some point, especially with thousands of dollars sitting right in front of them, and every initial signal telling them it's safe, and in many cases, other creators telling them how awesome it is to promote, or how much money they've been making. I'm not here to stand on a moral high ground. Every creator, me included, makes mistakes over a long enough run, but it's not hard to assume that they were being paid very well to overlook those concerns. Which finally brings us back to the reason I made this video in the first place: the emails they sent me. Now we can actually look behind the curtain and see what Freecash is offering creators to promote the platform. Out of the dozens of emails they sent trying to get me to accept a sponsorship, one of them offered me an $8 CPM. For anyone who doesn't know, CPM essentially translates to cost per 1,000 views. So that's $8 for every 1,000 views your sponsored video gets. If a video reaches 100,000 views, that's around $800 from the CPM alone, which is already better than what YouTube typically pays through ad revenue. Aside from the CPM deal, creators can also earn money from referral signups. Every time someone downloads Freecash through their link and completes the required actions, the creator gets paid. To match the CPM alone, they would only need around one sign-up for every 1,000 viewers. That's about a 0.1% conversion rate. In reality, campaigns like this often convert around 1% or even higher. In other words, creators promoting Freecash can make an absolute fortune, while Freecash is spending huge amounts of money trying to get as many people onto the platform as possible. And when you think about who these ads are aimed at, it starts to make a lot more sense. They're marketed towards people looking for quick money, many of them younger viewers or people in difficult financial situations. It's the perfect sponsorship opportunity for creators willing to cash in on an audience that's already vulnerable, or to trick creators who are convinced by agencies of otherwise. During one of the email exchanges, I decided to play along and act like I was interested. Eventually, they sent me a template script they wanted me to read in my video. Now, sponsored scripts aren't unusual. Pretty much every brand sends creators talking points. But one section immediately stood out. Yo, what's good, y'all? I've been putting people onto this program called Freecash for a while now, and my DMs keep blowing up with people saying I tried it and just cashed out. I love seeing that because it shows this really works. Now, I've seen a few comments from people saying stuff like it doesn't work or they just want your data. That's not true at all. Freecash doesn't sell your data. They only track your progress so they can make sure you get paid. You literally just download and sign up with an email and password. No personal info needed. This was one of the biggest reasons I decided to make this video. They were literally asking me to lie to my audience. At that point, I had never promoted Freecash, I had never worked with them, and nobody had been messaging me saying how they had successfully cashed out. Yet, the script wanted me to pretend my DMs were full of happy users. It also wanted me to pretend that I had already seen comments calling Freecash a scam, just so I could immediately dismiss those concerns on the company's behalf. Think about that for a second. They get accused of being a scam so often that they built a response into the sponsorship script before anyone even leaves those comments. It's honestly hilarious, and more than anything, it shows exactly who these ads are trying to reach. They're aimed at people who need money quickly, people who might not stop to question the claims they're hearing from creators they trust. And that's what makes this marketing so predatory. At the end of the day, the way Freecash is set up is honestly kind of genius. It's not a rug pull, it's not some wallet drainer that steals your credit card information and disappears overnight, it's a slow bleed. The platform doesn't have to scam everyone to be successful. In fact, it can't, and that's what makes it so effective. Instead of being a simple nobody gets their money scam, it's something even more slippery. It's a real ad tech business that pays small amounts to many users while showing a large consistent multi-year pattern of denying the larger payouts, marketed through provably false advertising and a paid affiliate funnel that makes its YouTube reviews anything but independent. Seriously, try watching any Freecash review without a Freecash affiliate link in the top of the description. As I was writing this script, somehow Freecash has even made its way back onto both the Apple App Store and the Google Play Store. How they managed to get relisted is unclear, but for now, they're right back where they started, ready to attract another wave of users. On the bright side, looking through the hundreds of complaints on Reddit has revealed a certain user that says they are apparently starting a class action lawsuit against Freecash. Whether or not this is actually real or not is up for debate, but there's no public legal filings available to see as of writing this. Whilst editing this video, I went down a rabbit hole and accidentally discovered how Freecash is secretly controlling the narrative. One interesting note is that the official Freecash subreddit is actually moderated by Freecash themselves, which explains why so many posts complaining about Freecash's support or accounts being frozen are promptly removed from the sub. And even making a post mentioning that you've been muted or banned for talking about the support will get you permanently banned as well. If not permanently, then for a week. The next part is even worse, and it explains how their Trustpilot ratings are so high. As I have mentioned in this video, it's really strange how when you look on Trustpilot, they have an almost perfect score. but you look anywhere else with an independent review, and suddenly it's just people mentioning how they weren't being paid out, how their accounts were frozen, and how they weren't getting any help from support. Under this Reddit post here of someone explaining their story of them making a review and the review being taken down, I learned something about Trustpilot which explains why Freecash has such a good score. So basically, this post is a user explaining how they were using Freecash and they were being accepted for their low-paying task, but the moment they tried a higher-paying task, the tracking for the offer suspiciously stopped working when they completed the offer. Now, this user went to Trustpilot to make a review explaining their experience to try and warn others of what might happen to them if they try using Freecash. Upon making their review, Freecash disagreed with it and actually flagged their review, meaning the user had 72 hours to provide evidence or the review would be taken down. Now, this immediately stood out to me because as I started looking deeper, there were tons of other users who tried leaving negative reviews only for Freecash to claim that the user never used the website and that the review was inauthentic. And this basically explained why Freecash has such a positive reputation on Trustpilot, but not really anywhere else. Looking deeper into Trustpilot, and they actually reveal the data around the reviews they flag. And what I found here is kind of insane. So basically, if you look at Freecash's flagging activity, in the past 12 months alone, they have flagged almost 700 reviews, with almost 80% of them being one-star reviews. As I touched on before, once a review gets flagged, you have 72 hours to respond with evidence or your review gets taken down. And as this user here has mentioned, Reception16685, they're basically counting on you not noticing or not bothering to send the evidence. And clearly it works. As the stat here says, less than 1% of the flagged reviews were flagged for invalid reasons, basically meaning that 99% of people weren't able to appeal their review, and therefore their review was taken down. Out of these hundreds of reviews, only 31 actually remained on Trustpilot, and 665 were removed, and this is just in the last 12 months. And if you thought that this was already bad, it gets even worse, because when you actually look at the sources of where these reviews are coming from, most of these reviews are what's called invited reviews. So it's when Freecash is actually sending the user to directly review the site, not just when a user decides they want to leave a review based on their own experiences. Now, obviously, we can both put two and two together. If there's an app that's offering to give you money and has a reward system and they ask you to review it, obviously the user is going to be incentivized to leave a positive review, especially when that review was invited by Freecash. Now, I can't confirm this for myself, but another Reddit user did comment that the Freecash head of support used to be the global director of quality and compliance at Trustpilot, which, if true, would explain how they're so good at gaming the system. Not that you really would need to be, because the deeper I look into Trustpilot, the more I'm sort of learning that Trustpilot itself is basically a front for sketchy businesses to appear trustworthy. And in my opinion, Trustpilot should never be used as an actual data point when deciding whether something is actually a scam or worthwhile. One thing I do want to note here is that the deeper I dug into Freecash, the more I feel completely unqualified to talk about it. The whole thing is just way bigger than I expected going into it, and I feel like someone like CoffeeZilla or someone who's actually professionally trained in investigating this kind of thing needs to look into it, because with just what I've found already, there seems to be a lot more to this, and in my opinion, it's bordering massively on fraud. By the way, one of the ways you can cash out your earnings is by transferring them directly into a stake account, and I would bet that mysteriously has a better chance of working. That one detail feels like the perfect summary of where YouTube sponsorships have ended up. Some of you probably remember the controversy surrounding T. Martin and Pro Syndicate. Years ago, they were exposed for promoting a CS gambling website without telling users they actually owned it. At the time, it was one of the biggest scandals YouTube had ever seen. Now compare that to today. Creators regularly have undisclosed stake ads all the time. And to be clear, I'm not making this video to call out every creator who's accepted a Freecash sponsorship. I don't think most of them were intentionally trying to mislead their audience. What I'm trying to say is this. First, I don't think Freecash should be anywhere near the App Store, let alone paying YouTubers to promote it. And second, I think it's time we raise the bar for what we're willing to advertise. Whether it's Freecash, Stake, or the next company promising easy money, these businesses all rely on selling the same fantasy, quick cash with little effort. More often than not, the people buying into that fantasy are the ones who can least afford to. It dawned on me that Freecash might actually want to respond to this video, and I was thinking what they they would probably say. I believe it would be based on what they said after they were banned from advertising on TikTok due to the false advertising claiming that people could scroll and earn money, in which, as I mentioned earlier, they simply responded by saying that those advertisements were made by third parties using their affiliate system and that in the future they would try harder to moderate them. In my opinion, this is simply just an easy out. And the fact that I've been reached out to by so many different agencies and seen the same scummy sales tactics trying to get me to post a Freecash ad tells me that this isn't just one agency that's gone rogue, it's at worst a partnership with Freecash to just get as many users as possible, no matter how deceptive the tactics are, or at best, Freecash completely failing to audit and moderate the advertisements of their app. Either way, if this video could have any impact, the impact I hope it has is that it serves as a resource for creators who are considering taking a Freecash ad and who are seeing the money being waved in front of them, or perhaps are almost falling victim to the same tactics they tried on me to get me to promote it. Throughout this video, when I say they, I am referring to all of these different agencies representing Freecash. I do want to make clear that I have not had any direct contact with Freecash themselves, and I'm not even sure if outside of their affiliate program and their partnership with agencies, that they are directly doing deals with creators. As I hinted at earlier, what I covered is probably just the surface, and I do feel like someone who is more qualified than me should definitely dive into this, but with the controlled reviews on Trustpilot, running their own subreddit in a way that hides criticism, and also the allegations of using bots to spread across other subreddits to promote Freecash, I don't exactly put a lot of faith in this company to do the right thing. Comment below your thoughts on the video and share it around if you can.